Hi, we're the Soil Sisters. I'm Cam. And I'm Mia. So, one of the most common questions that we get, no matter where you are in the world, if you're in a warm climate like Texas or you're in a cold climate like Sweden, when do you start seeding? When do you start seeding indoors? When do you start seeding outdoors? And when do you take your seeds that you started indoors and put them outside? So timing is everything. And if you plant too early or seed too early in the spring, the frost is going to kill your plants. And if you plant too late, your vegetables aren't going to mature, so you won't be able to harvest them before the first frost date in the fall. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to do a foolproof step-by-step process so you can customize your own seeding calendar to anywhere in the world. This applies to any location worldwide. We're going to look at first and last frost dates. We're going to look at the average monthly temperatures, and then we're going to puzzle it together. So in this video, we're going to help you get your own seeding calendar together, no matter where you are in the world. And also, in the description below, we have a free PDF for you, and it's a seeding chart. We'll be using that throughout this video. So let's get started. So I've grown food in 3 different climate zones, and I'm attempting my 4th climate zone here in Mallorca, Spain, an island in the Mediterranean. So as you can see on the map here, the first time I attempted to grow my own food was when I lived in Hawaii. Now, Hawaii is a tropical climate with fertile soil, and it rains nearly every day. So you can start seeds in Hawaii anytime year round because the average temperature is 70 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 21 to 27 degrees Celsius. Perfect weather for growing food. Then I moved to Massachusetts, the United States, and started growing organic food professionally. The growing season was long there due to the warm fall and short winters. I had a small greenhouse and I seeded some vegetables in it, but mostly I seeded directly in the soil. I grew sweet potatoes, melons, butternut squash, vegetables that require a long growing season. And then I moved to Sweden, which has long winters and a short growing season. I started seeding vegetables in the spring on my glassed-in veranda, and I realized quickly that if I wanted to grow tomatoes, I needed to buy a greenhouse. Then I moved to Mallorca, an island in the Mediterranean that belongs to Spain. The growing season here is long, and it can get really dry and hot in the summer. So why am I telling this story? I'm telling it because I want you to know that climate or climate zones don't matter. You can grow food anywhere in the world. Plant hardiness zones and climate zones, they're just going to confuse you. Climate zones are basically for farmers. They are for people who are planting trees and shrubs and bushes to know what plants are going to survive in their area winter after winter. So for us who are growing vegetables, those are not that important. What's more important is our first and last frost dates. Now, the last frost date in the spring is important to know because after that, you can start seeding and planting. And then the first frost date in the fall is important because you need to know when you need to harvest your vegetables before the frost comes and kills them. So to find your frost dates, you're going to go to this website. This site works worldwide. It's the first link in the description below. So in the top left-hand corner, you're going to enter your country and your location. So let's pretend I live in the United States, where I used to live, in Massachusetts, and the closest town is Vineyard Haven. So I'm going to put that in. A frost date is the average date of the last frost in the spring and the first frost in the fall. So as you can see on the screen, the last frost date is going to tell me when it's safe to plant again, And the first frost date in the fall is going to tell me when it's time to harvest and protect my plants. So make sure when you go in and find your location, you write these 2 dates down because they're going to be your anchors. We're going to do the next step. So this is the second piece of the puzzle. We're going to go and find our average monthly temperatures. So we're going to go to the following site. It's called weatherspark.com. And this site works worldwide. And it's the second link in the description below. You're going to enter your city and your country. And when you get to the next page, you're going to scroll down that page. And you're going to see your average monthly temperatures for where you live. So once you have your first and last frost dates and your average monthly temperatures, you're going to go and download the seeding chart below. You'll find this free PDF link in the description below, and it's going to be the third link in the description. I'm going to show you how this seeding chart works. This seeding chart shows when to seed indoors, when to seed outdoors, and temperature needs for seedlings, which is actually the same temperature the seedlings need to be planted outdoors. Now you can maybe see how we're going to puzzle this together. So before we move on, I just want to say that seeds need approximately 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit to germinate. Or in Celsius, that's about 18 to 22 degrees to germinate. So if you do start any seedlings inside, that's approximately room temperature. So now let's take a look at the seeding chart, which is the free PDF in the description below. So these explanations are on the PDF, so you don't need to write anything down. Now in column A is the number of weeks from starting your seed indoors until the seedlings are ready for planting outdoors in the garden. So in column B, you can see what temperatures the seedlings need to be both indoors and what the temperature needs to be outside when you plant them in the garden. Column C, I have put level of difficulty in case you're a beginner, and E stands for easy, and M is relatively easy, and H stands for hard. So the next step, which is the last step, is you're going to go online and download a free empty calendar. There's lots of them online, or you can just buy a cheap one at the store. We have included one in the link in the description below. So now let's puzzle the pieces together. So let's start with one of the easiest vegetables, and that's root vegetables. Root vegetables are parsnips, carrots, beets, potatoes. Now, if you look at the seeding chart, below the chart, I've written a note there. And all root vegetables, beets, onions, garlic, carrots, parsnip, potatoes, turnips, and radishes, are sown directly outside. And they're sown outside after the risk of frost is over. So now let's go compare. So let's take the example that I used before, Massachusetts, United States, where I used to live. And if we go on to the frost dates, you can see that the average last frost date is May 11th. That means it's safe to seed root vegetables around mid-May. So now you're going to take your calendar, whether it's the one you bought in a store or it's the paper calendar that you've downloaded and printed out, and you're going to write on May 11th, last frost date. And then you can write anywhere after that, seed root vegetables. And you might want to give yourself a little flexibility because life happens. So you can just write across the whole week, for example, seed root vegetables this week. So even if you have your last frost date, just want to give you a friendly reminder before you seed anything in the ground in your garden, check the weather. And I usually keep an eye on the weather 7 to 10 days out in the spring. So right before you seed in the ground, you're going to check your weather and make sure there's no frost in the next 7 to 10 days. And this is going to save you a lot of frustration. So that was an easy example. Root vegetables are easy because you only need to know the last frost date, and then you can plant them within a few weeks span anytime after that. So now let's do a little harder example. And let's do sunflowers, because who doesn't love to have sunflowers in their garden? Now, if we take a look at the seeding chart, it tells us that sunflower seedlings need approximately 15 to 18 degrees Celsius or 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. And then we're going to take a look at the average monthly temperatures. The temperature outside reaches that in the end of May or approximately the beginning of June. So sunflowers can be planted outside in end of May or beginning of June. But what if I want to get a head start on my sunflowers? I can start them indoors. So let's go back to the seeding chart. The chart says in column A, we need to seed sunflower seeds 2 to 4 weeks indoors before they get transplanted outside in the garden. So let's do an average of 3 weeks. So now we need to count backwards. So let's take the beginning of June just to be on the safe side. So if we count 3 weeks backward from the beginning of June, we're going to get a date around the 13th of May, give or take a few days. So you can start seeding them indoors around May 13th. And that's it. This is simple, logical, and repeatable. So now you can see how the parts of the puzzle are going to come together.
Okay, Cam, I have a question. I'm looking at the seeding chart, and I'm a little confused. So in column A, do you have to start all these seedlings indoors first? Okay, Mia, here's the thing. I've calculated everything for you. So if you live in a colder climate like Sweden or Canada or in northern parts of the world, your growing season will be much shorter. So you will have to start more seeds indoors and then transplant them outside to your garden. So, for example, root vegetables and cabbage are going to be harvested in the fall, but tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers are vegetables you will be harvesting and eating during the summer along with your lettuce. So everything's been calculated for you anywhere in the world. So I don't want you to worry about this right now, but we will be having videos covering this later. But right now I'm giving you information on a need-to-know basis, so not to overwhelm you. So Cam, I actually have another question. So about the highlighted areas, can I seed these veggies directly outside when the frost is over? So I don't have to start them inside first? Well, like I said before, it depends on where you live in the world. If your growing season is short, you'll want to seed them inside and then transplant them in your garden later. Here in Mallorca, for example, the growing season is long, so I can seed them directly outside in the ground. If you live in northern United States, Canada, or northern Europe, plan to start your seeds inside on the windowsill. If you live in southern United States and southern Europe, plan to seed them outside directly in your garden. But here's the thing. So if you're a little uncertain, you can do both the first season and see how it turns out. But just finish your seeding calendar to the best of your ability. Remember, it's approximate, and everything will fall into place later.
So before we continue on, let's put it all together. Let's review the system. Okay, number 1. You're going to look up your first and last frost dates, and you can follow the link in the description below. Then you're going to look up your average monthly temperatures, also a link in the description below. And then you're going to download your free seeding chart, a PDF, also in the description below. Then you're going to get your empty calendar to write in. You can print it out or buy one. Also in the link in the description below. And now I'm going to add one more thing. You need to write a list of all the vegetables, flowers, and herbs you want to seed or plant in your garden this spring. Okay, so once you have your list of vegetables, herbs, and flowers that you're going to plant and seed in your garden this spring, you're going to start with the first item on your list. You're going to take your seeding chart and compare it with your average monthly temperatures. And then you're going to fill in your own personalized seeding calendar. And you're going to do that one vegetable after the other until you're finished. When you're finished, you're going to have your own personalized seeding calendar. Remember, these dates are guides. They're not rules. They're approximate. And you can't control the weather. And you're going to have to be ready to adapt a little bit if there's a sudden cold dip. Now, remember, don't get obsessed with all this, okay? But by the time you're finished with this, you're going to know exactly when you're going to do everything. And then you can have a little peace of mind this spring. And you just need to look at your calendar. And it's going to make things a lot easier for you. And then you have your seeding calendar also for next year. If you find this video helpful, please give us a thumbs up. We hope now that you find your seeding scheduling much easier and you can garden with more confidence. So my sister is now going to give you one more example to make sure that you're confident and it will be easy and fun for you to grow your own food in your own garden this spring. So let's finish with a harder example, tomatoes, everyone's favorite. So let's go look at the seeding chart. Tomatoes need to be started indoors 6 to 10 weeks before planting outside. And we can also see in column B that tomato seedlings need to be in 15 to 18 degrees Celsius, which is about 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is also the temperature it needs to be outside for transplanting your seedlings into the garden. So now let's take a look at your average monthly temperatures. So let's use our previous example, Massachusetts, United States. Average monthly temperatures show it's safe to plant tomatoes outside approximately early June. We said 6 to 10 weeks before planting outside, so let's count backwards 8 weeks. That brings us to early April. So you're going to write in your calendar in early April, give or take a few days. Or if you want to give yourself even more flexibility, you can write tomato starting week. So you've just planted your tomatoes confidently. That means my tomato seedlings will be growing on my windowsill for about 2 months before they're ready to go into the garden in early June. So hopefully you understand the system now and you'll soon have your own seeding calendar personalized to your own location, wherever you are in the world. So we're going to be planting all these things this spring, and we're going to make YouTube videos of everything that we do. So we're going to be doing sunflowers and root vegetables and tomato and lots more. And we're going to do them in step-by-step videos for you to follow along. So don't forget to subscribe. And also, here in the Mediterranean, we're in a warm climate compared to most parts of the world, which means you can follow us and watch our YouTube videos and have enough time to implement what we do here in our garden and do the same thing in your own garden. So this is how we do things here at Soil Sisters. Not by guessing, not by following rigid rules, but doing things according to systems and doing things step by step. So hopefully things are easier and calmer and more fun for you this spring. And remember, you don't have to be perfect. You just need to start. And don't forget There are no gardening mistakes. They're only experiments. Okay, don't forget to download the free PDF, the seeding chart, because it's going to make your life so much easier. So we're going to continue with step-by-step videos to help you along the process of growing all your own organic food. We're really glad to have you here on our channel. And welcome to Soil Sisters. And we'll see you again soon. Let's grow together.